there are some things that we can't explain, no matter how hard we try. Despite incredible scientific advances over the past few hundred years, there's still so much about our vast universe that we mortal beings are still in the dark about. Are the following 3 tales proof that anything is possible? Or are they fictional stories that never really happened? Can you figure out what's fact or fiction?
The line that divides the factual from the unreal has long since blurred. The tales we once thought fantastical, now implanted as truth. To decipher verity from the imagined, you must break from the ordinary and consider a universe where the outlandish prevails. Can you expand your mind to see beyond our perceived reality? Can you decide what's fact or fiction?
As the country is starting to crumble, Venezuela is often in the news for a variety of reasons. But there's another sinister force at work in South America that locals claim have cost hundreds of innocent people their lives.
Venezuela's streets are some of the most dangerous in the world, and residents face a daily battle for survival. Yet there's something much more mysterious plaguing the people of Caracas. A seemingly living black substance is seeping out of the city's roads and claiming the lives of drivers who try to tackle this deadly goo. Known as La Mancha Negra, or the Black Stain, the substance first appeared on a stretch of road between Caracas and its airport in 1987. The smudge was originally just 50 feet long, and when it was first spotted by road workers, nobody thought much of it. Then it grew to cover various stretches of road, and it began to slay those that dare take it on. The blob is described as being an inch-thick, greasy black substance with the consistency of chewing gum. The stain is terrifying to drive on, and in just 5 years, over 1,800 motorists have lost their lives while attempting to traverse the stretch of road affected by La Mancha Negra. Despite the government spending 2 decades and millions in resources to try identifying what's causing the terrifying ooze, nobody can explain why it's happening or where it's coming from. Top scientists from around the world have been brought in to identify the blob, but all they can say for sure is that there's never been another instance of this same material being found anywhere on planet Earth. From resurfacing the road to treating it with chemicals, nothing has worked. It seems that La Mancha Negra cannot be stopped from seeping up from the depths of the earth to claim yet more victims.
Is there really a killer blob claiming the lives of innocent drivers in Venezuela? Is it really possible that a substance this massive can't be identified or found anywhere else on our home planet? Then again, this could be just the musing of one of our writers. That's for you to decide. So vote now by using the on-screen poll and let us know what you think in the comments section below, while we get ready for our second story. Next, we're heading to India to introduce you to a war veteran with a background like no other, as well as an impressive affinity with apex predators.
The old saying goes, if a man says he's not afraid of dying, he's either lying or he's a Gurkha. And Ayush Thapa certainly proved this to be true one sunny morning in 2003. 106-year-old Ayush was born in Nepal and was selected from his hillside town as a young man to join the Gurkhas to fight alongside the British Army. The process is incredibly tough, and Ayush proved his worthiness by being picked for one of 200 places over almost 30,000 other men. Ayush fought in Europe during World War II as an infantry soldier, and after retiring from the military, he moved to India with his wife. He had spent more than 20 years living a quiet life in the village of Kalam, until that tranquil existence was turned upside down by a strange encounter. Ayush was walking near his modest home as he always did, He was lost in thought when suddenly he sensed that he was not alone. The old man saw movement in the corner of his eye and slowly turned around to see what was stalking him. To his horror, standing only a few meters away, was a fully grown adult male lion. Panic washed over Ayush as the beast stood still, staring with interest at the feeble man before him. Standing up to the lion, Ayush began shouting, stamping his feet and waving his cane in the air in effort to hide his fear and assert dominance over the lion. The lion growled in response, shaking the ground beneath Ayush's feet, but he pressed on with his tactic, and after what seemed like a lifetime, the lion began to calm. He knew that he had to try and get the lion out of the village, so the elderly man made an unbelievable decision. He slowly stepped closer to the lion, keeping his body big and his cane out in front of him. At first, the lion growled, but soon it seemed to submit to Ayush once again and allowed itself to be led away from the village and into a nearby jungle. As soon as he could, Ayush made his retreat, slowly walking backwards until the lion lost interest and walked away in the opposite direction. Once his ordeal was over, Ayush alerted the police and the lion was captured that afternoon, later learning that 3 people had been killed in a neighboring village the night before.
Is it possible to have the upper hand over a wild lion with nothing but a cane? Maybe the lion was already full or just didn't like the taste of old people. We want to know what you think in the comments section below as we get ready for our third and final story for tonight. This time we're taking to the skies to share a mystery that has perplexed people for more than 70 years. The case involves a crashed blimp and 2 missing men who have never been found to this very day.
In the early hours of August 18, 1942, a U.S. Navy blimp prepared to take off from Lemoore Air Station in California. Its mission was to search for Japanese submarines as they were causing chaos for Allied ships on the west coast of the United States. At the time, they had been responsible for the sinking of at least 6 ships. So the U.S. Navy attempted to tackle this underwater threat by sending the blimp up to spot and destroy any subs lurking in American waters. Lieutenant Harold Dwight Brody and Ensign William Samuel Adams were the 2-man crew in charge of the mission, both veterans with many years of service between them. Their flight, number 102, was scheduled to fly out to the Farallon Islands, then head north to 2 further destinations before heading back to base at around 10:30 a.m. that same morning. The flight started out as any would, routine in every way. The aircraft, known as Light 7, was renowned as an excellent flyer and had completed more than 1,000 journeys with no more than regular maintenance being required. Ground control only heard from the 2 men in the air once, when they radioed in to report an oil slick on the water. Witnesses saw the blimp descend to 30 feet above the waves to take a closer look at something, and they noted that there were definitely 2 men aboard. Then the blimp ascended once again and headed off in the direction of California. This was the final time that Brody and Adams were ever seen. 3 hours later, Light 7 came down on a beach 8 miles off course. It smashed into a cliff face, then came to rest on a woman's house. When witnesses ran to see if there were any injured crew in the wreckage, they made the shocking discovery that there was nobody on board. Both Lieutenant Brody and Ensign Adams were missing, and there were no clues to explain their mid-air disappearance. The door was open and the safety bar was missing, but there was no sign of a struggle or damage to the craft, and one of the crew's caps still rested casually on the controls in an eerily peaceful way. Despite extensive searches and investigations, the circumstances of the men's disappearance remains unsolved and unexplained to this day.
How do we go about explaining the disappearance of 2 trained men during an important mission? Perhaps they committed suicide or accidentally fell out from a large wind gust. Maybe they were somehow captured by the enemy. Were supernatural forces at play? Or did we make this entire story up just to throw you off guard? Vote now as we get ready for the moment we've all been waiting for, the reveal.
Are you ready to find out if you can decipher between fact or fiction? Let's look back at tonight's 3 stories and find out which were born from reality and which were fabrications of the imagination.
Let's revisit Venezuela and the otherworldly substance that oozes from the streets to claim life after life. Is it possible in modern times for an unexplained goo to spread across the country's capital, claiming almost 2,000 lives? If you said no, then you'd be wrong. Despite help from the US and Europe, Venezuela still can't explain the ever-spreading blob and is powerless to protect its citizens. In the meantime, the death toll continues to increase, and poor souls perish in horrifying car crashes week after week. Do you think Ayush Thapa could really save an entire village from a potential lion attack? Is it possible for one old frail man to take on the king of beasts and walk away unharmed? While we're sure it can happen, our story never did. Though you might recognize some of the details of the story from the tale of Old Man Magumbas, a military veteran who was said to have brought a tiger under control after it escaped from a property on Shelter Island, New York. It was said that he used his belt to harness the tiger before sleeping side by side with it next to the road. Nobody's really sure if the tale of Old Man Magumbas is true, but our story of Ayush definitely isn't. What about our story of the spy blimp and the 2 vanishing men? If our third story of mysterious mid-air vanishings has put you off flying forever, then you're going to be horrified to hear that this story is completely true. Lieutenant Ernest DeWitt Cody and Ensign Charles Ellis Adams of the Treasure Island base in San Francisco Bay were never seen again after they boarded the Love 8 blimp on that fateful morning in August.
How well did you do in tonight's video? Did you look past the deception of our world and define the off-blurred line that struggles to separate lies from the truth? Let us know in the comment section below. And should you find the urge to test your perceptions again, be sure to subscribe and join us next time when we ask you to decide what's fact or fiction.